Good evening. Welcome to the Plastow Planning Board meeting on August 2nd, 2023. Start the meeting at 6:31. Can I get a roll call, please?
Okay, I know Tom Alberti is excused,
Yeah.
Karen also.
That's what I understand.
Roy Millette,
Yeah,
Howard,
Here.
Richard Anthony, anybody know?
I just saw him drive by, so he's
Yeah, parking out there is tough. We got the concert outside.
in a spot.
Bill Coy,
Here.
Healy,
Here.
waiting on Richard Anthony, that's it.
And before we get started, we'll appoint Tim as a voting member tonight.
Yeah.
All right, if we can take a quick look at the minutes. Hopefully we're not confusing anybody out there. It's not a selectmen's meeting.
There's something that Karen asked me to add to the minutes.
Which one are you looking at?
Yeah, we've got 2 minutes to approve. We got the site walk.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So it must be the regular, because she wasn't
Yeah,
at the site walk,
Regular
right?
meeting, yeah. Oh, are we doing the?
We can do
the
either. We can do both at the same time.
Okay. So, it was where Karen was asking about when material isn't in before Friday, and you had read
The rules of
the
procedure.
rules of procedure, and she wanted that in the minutes. She wanted it recorded in the minutes. What Victoria said about, it's number 4, it's under D, planning staff, number 4. Post all agendas, meeting notices, meeting cancellations in accordance with RSA 91-A:4. Deliver agendas, draft meeting minutes, and meeting materials to all board members in time for an adequate review before the meeting, at least the Friday before each meeting, unless extenuating circumstances are determined by the chair.
Which one that read into the minute?
Yes,
So you have it so that I can.
I do.
Make it a little bit easier for
You
you.
want to postpone,
The minutes?
yeah, until you come back with all of this?
It's D.
Yeah, why don't we table these minutes? That way that Karen can see what she puts in,
Okay.
so we have it right.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, we'll table those minutes, but we can still do the site walk. Once you have a chance to look, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept the site walk minute.
I'll second it.
Second by Laurie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I'll abstain.
So 301. All right. And tonight's a workshop, so should make it a little bit easier. So we'll go right to the next item on the agenda, the MS4 stormwater ordinance presentation and decision-making. It's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Are you comfortable with making decisions on MS4 without the rest of the gang?
I'm fine. What do you think? We got Richard.
Yeah, Richard's here now.
Okay, that's good.
And what we'll do, we'll also,
Where'd you park?
he parked in Snoopy Double Z.
I'm over the railroad track.
And so we'll appoint Richard as well
Yep.
as a voting member. So yeah, let's go for it.
All right.
And if there's something we want to table, we'll table, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
So this is basically a continuation of the last presentation that I gave on the MS4 general permit and the requirements that the planning board has to deal with. So today I really wanted you guys to make decisions on responsibility, like who's going to review this, town engineer, private engineer. We mostly talked about this one, and we're more so leaning towards the town engineer. Inspection and maintenance responsibility, as well as frequency, and then the applicability threshold. So when do these new standards kick in? So that was the size of the changes conversation that we had.
Make sure that you pull that microphone towards you. 'Cause I'm kind
More?
of about half of what you're saying.
Yeah, it might be a little tougher because we've got the music outside tonight. Just to make sure it shows up on the
Exactly,
tape.
because that is annoying.
So we'll deal with applicability first. This one might be the easier one. So currently, the stormwater regulations kick in at 20,000 square feet. That's a cumulative disturbed area over 20,000 square feet. A construction or reconstruction of a street or road, subdivision, any proposed work next to wetlands buffer, or any disturbed critical areas. I gave some examples here. Alteration of terrain permit is 100,000 square feet. Other communities, Exeter is 10,000, Hampstead 20, Northampton 15,000, Fremont 15, Epping 5,000, Kingston 15, Newton 15. So you could stay at the 20 if you wanted to. Also, another thing to note is, when we make these decisions, I'm going to put everything together and I'm going to hand it off to the engineer and he's going to have the final thumbs up on this.
Mhm.
So if you had any ideas as to the applicability threshold that you wanted to stick with, if you wanted to stick with 20,000 or if you wanted to make it a little smaller to catch more projects. When you catch more projects, that is more administrative work, but it's also greater protection from runoff, any sort of negative effects that could happen with stormwater mismanagement.
Tim, what's your recommendation on that?
I think we probably keep them the same.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
Is this from our, probably from our current ordinance? Because we had proposed a new ordinance from the DES model ordinance for last year. And then we,
Yeah, are you talking about the floodplain ordinance? Yeah, because I was looking through the changes from last year, and it was all floodplain stuff.
right.
The only change to your stormwater regulations, I don't know what it was before, but in red it said that variances would go through ZBA, not planning board.
Yeah, but there was a stormwater ordinance that we proposed but postponed, which I don't.
Was that one 15 or 20?
No, it was last year.
Yeah. No, I know, but was it the 20,000?
Yeah, I don't know. I can look if you want to take a 30-second break while I have my laptop. And look there.
Yeah, if you want to.
What would your recommendation be when you see all the other towns? It's 20.
20 is
How do you
a
feel?
solid place to be.
I know you see some of the other towns, you got 10.
They are at 15, but yeah, I wouldn't go any higher than 20.
Right. The question would be, do we go down to 15, I guess?
Yep. So Fremont, They do development or redevelopment, just total disturbed land area of 15,000, but it's 2,500 within 100 feet of a surface water body, which doesn't really apply
Yeah.
here. And then they can have it can be set off less than 15,000 with an exemption if the total amount of the impervious cover doesn't exceed 1,000 square feet. So if they're taking other means to kind of not have all of the surfaces impervious, so permeable pavers or any sort of gravel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that might just be overcomplicating it.
So it seems like 20 is pretty solid if we keep it where it is.
Yeah, and there aren't too many large projects that come through Plaistow as I've understood.
You're right.
So yeah, I'd recommend either 15,000 or 20,000.
Anybody have any thoughts, Richard, or anything?
Well, I mean, apart from difference of 5,000 feet, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
5,000 square feet.
what would the advantage be of saying 15,000 square feet? I mean, you said the negative being some sort of administrative, but
Yeah, you might catch more projects and have to go through the process more often. Which will include, once we go through reporting, that'll be more work from an administrative standpoint with reporting. But the reporting is only tops every 3 years, whatever you guys decide. So it's not a huge difference. Yeah, but 15,000 feet, it's setting that bar lower, so you might catch more projects that way. I was trying to look up old cases though. I don't even know when the last time you guys had a
15,000.
15 or 20,000 square foot project.
Yeah.
So.
something like this goes into effect, and you had a project that was over, 20,000 square feet. Is it going forward for any new projects, or are everyone that has, a footprint of?
Yeah, no, this is just new projects. But if any already developed areas need to submit a new site plan for any reason, then it will be triggered.
I don't think there's not really a whole lot of difference, really, right? 15 to 20.
Yeah, it's just, this is a compelling reason.
Any thoughts, Chuck?
No, I think we should stick with 20.
Any luck, Tim?
I'm sorry.
Any luck finding?
No,
You're the one that wrote it.
I know. You must have it in one of those places so you don't forget where it
I
is.
think we did discuss it too. Like 15 and 20, I can remember some. We did talk about it.
And we're currently at 20.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to make any more. I thought I could.
I'm almost a thought keep it at 20. I don't, unless we have a real compelling reason to go any lower.
Yeah.
Which I really don't see.
No.
Does anybody disagree?
No.
No, I would say keep it at 20.
20 it is. There we go. That wasn't too bad.
Get that one knocked off.
Yeah. So this next one, I did talk to Dee about this. This to me seems like a town thing that should be handled by the town, but shouldn't have too much of an opinion about it. So we want to square away the responsibility. So right now, for developments, they need to provide a description of ongoing construction and operational maintenance twice. And then twice each month during construction, there's a report required. And then there's a yearly login report. But after speaking with Dee, she had never seen any of these things. So I believe that it's not being followed up with. So currently, Steve Keach reviews everything from the proposal to the initial install. And then there's no procedure for follow-up afterwards that Dee knows about. And then if we were wanting to institute that sort of follow-up reporting, then that would need to be included in the notice of decision, much like impact fees, recording needs, not. And then she said that couldn't be in the motion to conditionally approve, but it would have to be in the other requirements section of the site plan that goes to the registry. And then once reporting is established, then each report would need to be checked by K&A or be done by a professional engineer with the stamp. So we mostly need to decide, I'm assuming that we want to keep Steve Keach looking initially at all applications that come through. And then we need to decide if we want to keep that the same, where he is on site, because he does the pre-construction meeting with them. But then what is happening after everything is built? Is he coming back? Who's paying for that? Is the town paying for that review? Or is that part of the responsibilities from the developer? And then we need to determine how often we want them to submit another report and what that's going to say, like how well their stormwater management system is holding up. Is it okay if they have their own engineer do it with a stamp and then someone reviews it administratively on this side? Are we going to pay Steve Keach to review that again? And then who's going to pay him to review that? And how often is he going to review that?
Yeah. I think one of the requirements in some place says that they need to develop a stormwater management plan.
Yep.
Which addresses all of those issues. Which I think includes an annual report. And that, once post-construction, that usually falls to the code enforcement officer. So the planning board is pretty much out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not following what's in the stormwater management plan, it would be like they're not adhering to handicap parking or,
So you
doing
believe that the
something-
yearly reporting goes through the code enforcement officer?
After construction, after the plan's complete, it's up to the zoning officer.
Zoning officer, code.
Code enforcement officer.
Okay.
To make sure that they're.
That's already there then. It's already something that should be getting done.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe we should hold off on this decision, and I should have a conversation with the code enforcement officer.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Yeah, because all the information that I have, what's going on currently, is from Dee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will find that stormwater. I don't think it's, after I shut my laptop, I think it's probably under a stormwater task force rather than zoning.
Okay. Yep. I did hear about that.
So I'll find that tonight and ask Dee to send everyone a copy.
Yeah. So if it's already being done, it's already there. We've already got it.
Yep.
So how far did you get with the stormwater task force?
I think I think we're pretty much done. I don't think there's the task force hasn't met in we only meet a couple, 3 times a year.
Who's on it?
It's sort of led by Normando, Joel Deddy from Normando. Dan Garlington is on it. Dee, myself, and Mike Dorman used to be on. I don't know if Bill Foy is
It would make sense if
Yeah.
he was on it,
Right.
especially if that was something Mike was on before.
Yeah.
It's only logical. And how often do they meet?
I don't know. I think we're supposed to meet quarterly, but I think it's closer to probably 3 times a year. But who else? So Denise, health officer, used to be on it.
So then you should get Patrick on it to be as the replacement for Denise.
So the annual report. I don't know. I think we submit that September 1st. But I don't know, because Norman though does most of the work. Kind of everyone knows their piece of it.
So you seem to think it's just about completed?
I'm sorry.
It's just about completed?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, this was it was a 5-year permit, and there was some number of tasks for each year, each plan year. And I think we've completed all the items each year.
Yeah, that's something a little bit different. There's certain town responsibilities that don't lie with the planning board. Through this part of it and the grant that you received, this is just to work on the ordinance.
Yeah.
So whether it be fixing up zoning, taking things out of zoning and putting it into site plan review, just the decisions need to be made of how you're going to process these applications, what's the applicability.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
they're the way they get related is there's often a requirement that would say you need to specify who's in charge of looking for violations and fines, and which is our code enforcement officer. So you have to state that in the report, but it also needs to be reflected in the zoning. So I think last excuse me, last year or the year before, I think we submitted that same stormwater ordinance to Normando for them to review, to make sure we had included all of the items that are needed for the permit.
So you're thinking tonight is we should probably table this until you have a chance to have a more in-depth discussion?
yes, because I don't know anything that you did.
I'm sorry.
I was not told that you had done anything.
Okay, so let's table it then till.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
table this.
that's a good idea.
I know what's been done. This secret meeting that meets
I
every
know.
3 times a year.
Do you know the handshake?
I don't remember when the last time it was that we met.
Illuminati of Plaistow.
All right, so what do we got up next?
Did you read my chapter draft?
I don't believe right here.
I skimmed over some of it.
So we're going over the housing master plan chapter draft, right? Next up.
And I think that Plastow already has a lot of this going on. I mean, if you're looking to change our density is above average for the state, right? Where did I read that?
Well, I was hoping that you guys had read it, and then we were gonna go over your comments so that I could continue to work on it. But I don't. If we need more time to read it, then we can table the discussion. It's not extremely short. It's 21 pages as it is.
Right. Has anyone had a chance to read through it?
I read
a
through
little
some
bit
of
of
it.
Tim, do you have any comments on it? Did you have a chance to look at it?
I read through it, but not in not in a lot of detail. So I really don't have any comments.
So what are we going to do? Are we prepared to discuss it, or what do we think?
Well, the majority of the report here is pretty much background, right?
Right.
I mean, we have a vision, we have a housing shortage. You know, Plaistow's traditionally had, you know, some multi-house residents more so than other neighboring municipalities.
Yeah, it's all background at this point.
I mean, it's the first 9 pages of background.
Yeah.
We don't have sewer, you know, or wastewater infrastructure. I mean,
We have additional dwelling units. We have mixed use out on 125.
Within the village center and commercial districts, mixed-use development is allowed by right.
Yeah.
We have an elderly housing overlay. Tim has kind of kept us right up to date on stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. The only thing that I didn't really get a chance to do is look at the current housing ordinance and see if there's something that's in Victoria's outline here that we want to add, or if there's things in the existing master plan that are no longer relevant, or just exactly how this would be integrated into the current master plan. I know one thing that that we don't have in our master plan on purpose were goals. And we have the implementation section, which has actions. But we didn't do goals in any section.
So you're saying we should still not have the goals in the master plan?
I mean, yeah, the reason that we took them out is over the years of our master plan, the regional master plan, we've spent hundreds of hours talking about goals. And, yeah, so they're, and if you were starting from scratch and did your first master plan, those are probably helpful, but the umpteenth time around, spend more time talking about, I mean, what are our housing goals? I mean, so rather than trying to think up what goals should be, we went right to the implementation section. And if we thought we needed more, I mean, you might have a goal that says we need more single-family homes. Not that I'm saying that's would be a goal, but just as an example. So rather than specifying that as a goal, we went in the implementation section, we'd see housing action number 1, or whatever the heck we called them. Some plan to get more single family houses.
I wrote all of the goals down in this chapter from the last master plan. I separated them by the housing and population chapter, the Plaistow in the future chapter, and the implementation plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are extremely broad. So this HOP grant is focusing on getting more into the nitty-gritty details. We're a little bit more data focused this time around, especially with the build-out analysis, which is what you did not do in your last master plan.
Right.
So we're aiming to have,
So we've gotta
more
get that in the
specific
next one.
goals. Like part of the implementation plan, it says investigate techniques and strategies to ensure the town promotes affordable housing in new residential developments. Investigate ways to encourage new housing units and accommodate elderly housing needs. That's what we're doing on this step. So yeah, those were previous goals and they're totally valid, but now we're actually going to do them for this step.
Yes.
So we got to spell it out more.
How do you make a developer build affordable housing? I'm missing something.
You can't, but you can make sure that your zoning is not horribly complicated.
So we have to make sure the zoning allows for it,
Yeah.
to make it easy for a developer to do it if they wanted to, but they don't have to.
Yeah, and you can have certain incentives like workforce housing density bonuses, or any of the things that I listed at the end of the chapter are all techniques to increase housing.
Well,
Oftentimes they reduce the price.
I think we automatically fell into what you're saying because we didn't do anything about our, what was it we didn't do anything about it last year. Remember Sarah was saying whatever we had for elderly housing bonuses for density, that would now apply to workforce housing? Because we didn't change anything.
Yeah.
What are the bonuses that apply to it?
Well, it has to do with the density. I don't know the
Yeah,
exact.
but what exactly does it mean to say that you have a bonus that's being applied for workforce housing?
Yeah, so in some, I'm not quite sure on Plaistow. I haven't done the full land use regulation audit. But in some communities, they say something like if you build multifamily and 50% are workforce housing units, then you can build this many units more. You can get an additional 2 units, 5 units
Okay. So,
density bonus. Or some communities even they'll restrict multifamily housing in certain zones, but they'll allow for workforce housing in those zones. Just to promote workforce housing development.
so if we wanted to have something, or incentivize elderly housing, let's say, what would that look like? What would a bonus look like for that?
Well, that would be part of your current overlay district.
Yeah.
You could either tweak that, make it larger, add it somewhere else.
Yeah, I think we,
I don't think we put a restriction on where that was, did we?
no,
Elderly housing?
no, I mean, that's why I think it's, that's why we made it an overlay zone, so I could,
Right.
and I think I don't know, either 6 or 8, 6, I think, dwelling units per 40,000 square feet. So the regular zoning would just allow 1 dwelling unit. So that was the incentive for to build more elderly housing. But the last year legislation passed that says if you have an ordinance like for elderly housing, you can give a density bonus, but you have to make that same bonus available for workforce housing.
And we didn't change
Really?
anything last year.
No.
No, so.
So that, I mean, to me, that was really a kick in the gut for elderly housing, because now if you, well, I don't want to get started on legislation, but
Okay, so here's what I read in, under housing, stock, and supply. The sentence that stuck out to me was, Plastow also has greater density than neighboring communities with 0.55 units per acre on average compared to the state average of 0.15. So, I mean, I think we're doing pretty good. I mean,
Well, regardless, you applied for this grant and I have to write this chapter.
Yeah, so you're looking for us to kind of okay with how you've got it written. So this
We don't
chapter's
have to
gotta
make
be-
any zoning changes if you don't think that we need to. But
So-
you guys wanted
No,
to
this
write
is,
a housing chapter.
right, so this is what you want to put into it, right?
Yeah, I'm not hiding the fact that you
Right.
guys are more dense than others.
Right.
But there's
It's just
been
we need
no
to have something like
growth.
this in it, is what we need.
Yeah. But there's also been no growth in Plastow. So it started off.
because there's not much
More
land.
dense.
Yeah, we're pretty much tapped.
We'll see after the build out analysis.
10.5 square miles.
yeah.
There's not a lot. There's
Yeah,
some. There is still some. Not saying there isn't.
And we're gonna find it.
There's little pockets here and
And
there.
then you can make decisions based off of that information.
Yep. But this is what you'd like to see us implement and put in, right?
Well, no, not yet.
Not yet, but
This is
where-
just this is
where
the
we're
first
going.
glance. This is the background.
Yeah.
Some of this data is going to be used for public engagement.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, in terms of the background information, I mean, I don't think it's,
Like, is there any other data that you'd like to see? Is there anything that you think that I didn't portray about Plastow? You guys have mostly been born and raised here, and I'm new here. I am good at data and writing, but if there's something that you really wanted to get across, I know that there are a lot of concerns over older residents
Right.
and taxes going up because of school-age children, so I made sure to include that. And
Yeah, and that's probably one of the biggest things here,
Yeah.
that part.
Okay, so you're just talking about the chapter itself.
Right.
yeah, right now.
Whereas I'm thinking about
The zoning changes.
zoning
Yeah.
amendments.
Oh yeah, no.
This
we're
is
not-
just
we're
a
not
chapter
doing,
to put in, that's
Okay.
all it
Yeah,
is.
we're not doing anything now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get you now.
And then the end of the chapter is just ideas
Okay.
and things that Plaistow already has. Yeah, because I don't know if you've looked at the old housing chapter.
Not in a, that's what I mentioned earlier. I didn't have a chance to see, to compare what was in the old chapter versus what's here and how to integrate the.
Well, when was the old chapter done?
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
So probably not a ton has changed
And it's
since then, right?
probably,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
just really
pre-pandemic.
it's really short.
So it's probably
Yeah.
4 or 5 years now.
Well,
goes
maybe
by,
we did it in 2019, right?
I think it was started in 2018.
Oh, we started in 2018. Okay.
Yeah, but your housing chapter, it's population and housing, and it's only 4 pages.
Yep, so it needs to be longer, and
Yeah,
looking
And
at it
it's-
quickly, I think the information in here is good.
it's just this is just a background too. There aren't any, there's nothing really about what you currently have for zoning and how that affects housing development and what steps could be taken. There aren't any real goals in here. The goals are to look at
Yeah.
strategies.
Yeah.
So this time around we're just using state funds to beef it up.
Sure, and
Yeah.
I think it's a good start.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that the beef that you want is in there.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't know about anybody else, but I think it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
if there's
think
anything that you are constantly thinking about as you sit here,
By
like
way of background?
what?
By way of background?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, oh, I would really like to know how these demographics kind of have played out, like what's been happening in the last 10 years with this.
Yeah.
Still waiting on assessing data. I really liked our conversation last time, how we were talking about how there was a period of time where pretty much all of the apartment buildings were built, and then some of them turned into condos, and then there weren't a lot of apartments built after that. So I'd really love to know why that happened. Is that just because no one wanted to build them, or was there a zoning change? What happened?
that I don't know. I wasn't around when
Oh,
when those
me
when
either.
those were even built.
Yeah, I would love to find that out. Because I think that's a really important thing to know.
Yeah,
Because
I'm pretty
Plaistow
sure.
is one of the most, it's very dense compared to other communities, but then there's been no growth. So what happened in that period of time to densify, and then it just stopped?
Bro, I don't.
Yeah,
So I'd
well,
like to know.
I think 2 things. Well, I don't know. I'll say 2. I'll probably name 3 or 4. One big change which affected the area is the Western Electric AT&T plant closed.
I'm sorry, what was it?
The Western Electric AT&T Lucent Technologies or whatever, probably better known as Western Electric in North Andover. At its peak, that there was 13,000 employees in that plant. Many of those employees, myself included, they lived in Plaistow. So when a large business like that goes away, people aren't coming to the area for employment. Then Haverhill itself, I mean, that was in North Andover. Haverhill itself, until the last couple of years, I think has been not very exciting. I mean, now with the riverfront and some new development,
Mm.
there's, opportune more jobs, more reason for people to live in the area.
I think you can have one thing affecting things going forward too. A lot of work from home now too, right?
A lot of people work from home.
Yeah.
And our surrounding towns, in the 60s and 70s, 80s, maybe, Plastow's population increased as much or more than any of those surrounding towns. Now, if you look at that same demographic, Atkinson, I think, has a slightly higher growth. Hampstead for sure does. Sandown and Danville, which are, part of the school district. Sandown especially. I mean, they just went bonkers.
Sandown, they were off the charts in Sandown.
Yeah. So once once a town starts to have a lot of new housing, that's kind of magnifies itself. People, for the most part, if you're looking for a house, I mean, why not buy a new house?
I mean, what's the last big development we've had in town?
Probably.
No,
I know where I live. That's 26 years ago.
I know.
What was it called?
No, Village Way probably
Village
is
Way.
is close.
Yeah.
How old's Village Way
How
now?
many houses do you have down there?
24.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're in the
Okay.
par of us. We have 33.
Yeah.
But I know
About 8
Village
years
Way's a
ago.
lot newer. So how many years is it?
9 years ago.
So it's still a ways. It's
Something like that.
Seems like it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it is, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy how time
Time
flies.
goes by.
Like I can't believe I've been there like 27 years.
Yeah.
Village Way is a subdivision or multifamily?
No, they're all single homes.
yeah,
Single.
single
Yeah.
family.
But
Yeah.
Village Way's probably the last one, right?
Yeah.
I would think that's probably as large a one. We've had a boatload of 3 or 4 subdivision of 3 or 4 lots all over town. Now Sweet Hill, whatever they're called, Sweet Hill Estates off Sweet Hill Road. Well, that's only 7 though, isn't it? That's not a
7, yeah.
real.
What do you think? The one that's still under development now?
Yeah.
Gunstock.
And 14 off of North Ave,
Yeah.
right?
But that's about all that's there.
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot more. We had the one guy that came in, right? But how many houses was he looking at?
20 something, I think.
Yeah.
The guy that came to talk to us, he bought land from the Haverhill Country Club.
Yeah.
That'll be probably 20 or something.
Yeah, 20 something, I think you said.
So yeah, I mean,
Fingers crossed on duplexes.
You never know what it's going to be at the end of the day,
I
right?
don't know. I think if he had his preference, he would build $800,000 million homes. But I think that the market for that has peaked. I don't think there's that big demand for those.
Yeah.
So I think he was contemplating a mixture of single family and duplex.
And that would be wonderful.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why the growth hasn't been that big.
Yeah.
Plus, everyone, the population's getting older too, right? I mean, I look at
Yes.
just my house. At one time, there were 6 of us living there. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind when I read in the paper some town is doing a 250 unit subdivision. They haven't built 250 houses all the time they've been in Plastow, I don't think. Well, one reason for that is they have the land. I mean, we have some land left, but we have a lot of wetlands scattered throughout town.
Mhm.
So there's not these large 150 acre parcels that you could go in and build the big subdivision. And those are gone.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it was or is fairly critical to get at least some initial takes on the build out, because if we only have 100 acres left of X, Y, Z type of land. Doesn't do us much good to beat our heads on the wall.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you're truly built out, then
We're close.
just make it easier to apply for certain things.
Yeah, I mean, it gets close. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
there's little pockets here and there. But
I know.
just
I
don't
am
see any
excited
big
to
developments
see.
going in anywhere. But you never know, I guess. But I think this is could start the chapter.
Good.
All right, so we can move on then to the HOP engagement discussion.
Yeah, that'll be really quick. So after our last conversation, you guys said that you liked the survey and then I would put it out. I didn't put it out. I was made aware that there is already a survey out in Plastow.
There's a few, I guess, getting
Yeah,
ready, right?
yeah. So we're just gonna wait a little bit. I'm thinking the 21st.
Yeah, because there's one out there, and I think there's another one getting ready to go out too. Wasn't there for a survey? I thought I
There
saw.
was
There's the electric,
energy.
Yeah, the
energy
the
one.
community thing, right? But
Yeah.
that should probably be a quick one, I would hope.
Yeah.
And the other one that we just did is Main Street
Right.
traffic count.
Yeah, which is a really important one, and I don't want to
It'll
take
be
away
even
from
more,
it.
That'll be more important even after tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awful.
And then you don't want to confuse people like, oh, I already did this survey. Oh, there's
Yeah.
another survey coming from town hall. It's like, no, that's different.
Yeah, it's like death by survey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In terms of the
the other
traffic,
day, you got 6 surveys in the mail.
Yeah.
You have been selected to blah, blah, blah.
But we don't have to do a survey if you guys want to camp outside and with a table.
Well, tonight would have been a good night. Walk around while you're there. You would
I
have a
know.
captive
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Maybe I'll do it next month.
So when do you want to put it out, the survey now?
I'm thinking August 21st would be fair.
Huh?
community
And
engagement.
how long
Yeah.
are we going to run it for? 2 weeks?
We can do 2 weeks and then do another push and see how many people are still responding. I wanted to present the survey results on September 20th.
Okay, so
So
then you got
whenever people stop
That was gonna be
answering.
my question. When do you need it back by? So you can do all that,
Yeah.
tabulate everything.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to end it by what? It's like September 10th. You'd have to have it all done by, at the very latest. Or is that?
Yeah. I think a good week with it would be.
Because September we'll be meeting the 6th and the 20th, right? Looking at that calendar, right?
Yeah.
So probably end it sometime in this week, maybe.
Means we wouldn't discuss
11th.
it then until the first meeting in October, right?
No, I'm going to present it on the 20th.
Okay. So if you ended it somewhere around the 10th, that gives you enough time?
Yep. I think the 11th or 12th. Yeah. We have a good survey site. I don't have to necessarily individually read everything.
Yeah, I'm just
It
trying to
makes
think
charts and tables and.
because you're going to lose probably some time right around Labor Day, right? Labor Day is what, the 4th this year, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean,
So when are you going to launch it? The end of August or September?
August 21st.
Okay.
Okay. Say August 21st, and then depending on responses is when we're going to close it.
Yep.
It'd be great to close it if you can go to September.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be in September somewhere.
And we can push it out a couple times. I'm more
So
than willing to sit outside and talk to people. I'll pass around a tablet. I'll sit at the library.
Well, you know what to do. I don't know when the first day of school is, but it's before Labor Day, right? All you got to do is stand out there when everyone's dropping the kids off and hand them the survey, right? Because
Yeah.
I think more kids now get dropped off than take the bus.
Oh, you think?
That's
Quite a
actually
few.
pretty good idea. Yeah, just have something or just providing the contact for it, like online,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
just to sort of advertise.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe even get the library to maybe push it on the sign and things
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, I'm definitely do that. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, right? So 12th, 13th, yeah. I'm fine with that. Everyone else, good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So have we spent any of the money yet?
For the HOP grant? Yeah. Yeah, because our fiscal year closed in July.
So how much have we spent so far?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know.
Could we have that information at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're all good there, right? Do we have any old business that we wanted to go over? Or new business?
For new business, I would say for our next workshop, whatever the September meeting is, we should have a list of what we want to work on in zoning, or at least get that list started.
Actually, that's a good idea, right?
That
I'm
is a
sorry.
good
What did
idea.
you say?
Start working on
Oh,
zoning.
zoning amendments.
Yes, I have us down. Or 10/18, we're gonna start doing that.
Do we have any that we could start knocking off now instead of, in September? Do we have any you think that we'd have ready to even look at? I'm just trying to spread it out so we're not sitting here one night looking at
Yeah,
like 15.
yeah, I know. Well, we wanted to. So I have down here that's on our next meeting. We wanted to declare that we want to have a public hearing for the economic development update, and then so 9/6 that was supposed to be the public hearing for the economic development work, which should be really quick.
Mhm.
It's the list and you all read it and you like it, and that could just be a 5-10 minute conversation if you wanted it to be. And then I wanted to present a draft ordinance, but that might get pushed off depending on when you get me your stuff. So we could start
Yeah, I mean,
working 9/6.
even if it's just 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because, I mean, last year I know it's like they all came at once. I think if we do,
Yeah.
hopefully we're only talking about 10 to 12 total. I know that's like a dream, right?
That's the wish list,
Right? But if you figure,
not 20 something.
right. But if you could ever get that and all of a sudden it's like each month leading up to it, you would looking at 3 or 4, and then we can really talk about
Just before our meeting tonight,
Yeah.
the Energy Committee looked at the solar ordinance, and so there's a few changes there that they're recommending
it. Okay.
we look at. So, that's one we could do. Certainly get the stormwater one out. So I mean, those are a couple good ones. I think my idea on the 6th was just have a list. We want to look at this area, at that area, at that area, and then work on those.
Yeah, so then we can divvy it out the rest of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That works, but just let's be more
It's just so
organ-
hard to plan because we don't know what applications are going to come in.
No, I know, but it's like you want to be organized, right?
Yes, yeah.
Instead of all of a sudden here everything is. Because I know myself, once we hit September, that gets busy. That's when you get budgets and everything else start coming in. So
For sure.
So you don't have any information on any applications coming up, or?
For next meeting, maybe 17 Harriman.
Yeah, that was
Again?
continued.
Other than that, no, I haven't gotten anything.
Else? No.
Mm-mm.
Right, so if there's not much going on, then there's no reason you couldn't squeeze some in there, right? We're here.
Yeah, I just like, how do you want to start the conversation? Do you guys already have amendments that you have in mind that you want to start developing the list of let's look at this, and this?
I think that's what you're suggesting, Tim, right?
Because right now, um,
I mean, can
yeah,
we even do that for the, say, our next meeting, when it comes time for new business or whatever, just kind of think about what we want for the list? And
Yeah,
come up with it then, and then that way there, when we hit September, we can start being a little more productive with those meetings. Especially if we
Yeah,
don't have
that's all
much
right.
on the agenda.
right.
That's probably a good plan, yeah.
So we'll do that if we can just start coming up with the list, what we're thinking. And obviously that list is probably gonna grow, even if it's just a couple to start with.
Yeah.
I already have like,
There should be already
Two
a
and a
couple
half.
coming from other sources, right? I mean, isn't there one in the pipeline coming from the zoning board?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think there was something that was reviewed by the town attorney. Might have had something to do with what? A variance? If the variance were to expire, that they could go back to the zoning board with
But is
ask for
that
an
just
extension?
is that just something that's a part of their bylaws, or is that might just be their bylaws, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't
So,
All right, so I'll give us something that way that we can be productive at the next meeting.
Yes.
And we'll find out, see what happens with 17 Harriman, right? So that's the only thing on the agenda? As of right now?
As of right now. I have not heard or gotten anything else.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
no.
So I guess we're good?
I think so.
Nothing else?
Good, Chuck?
I'm good.
All right. Everything else, are you good?
I'm good.
You're
done.
good? I'm good? We're all good.
Awesome.
We'll close the meeting then at
Wow.
7:34.
Wait till Tom hears that.